Hi, I'm Nina, and back again today with stop 7 of our great outdoor summer tour. And this is the very last stop in our summer series. But it's very special because I'm here today with my son Ben Sher. He's visiting from LA and we're thrilled. And this stop is really very exciting for us because this is the Jericho Drive-In Theater in Bethlehem and in Selkirk. And this place has a lot of history for our family because from the time Ben was 3 years old, movies were his passion. And Ben spent especially some time here watching different movies, which I know you remember, right? Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, yeah, movies were my big thing. So as soon as we moved here from Long Island, the first thing we had to do was find a video store because I needed that comfort of the movies. And we went to American Video in Delaware Plaza.
Oh my God! And he was 3.5 years old.
Yes. And
right.
We became best friends with Ken, the manager. And if he's out there, you should friend me on Facebook because I always wonder what happened to him. And so I went there all the time. And it was in Albany that I saw my first movie in the theater, which was Cinderella, which was at a mall with a golf course in it. And I don't know what the mall was. It was not in near Albany. It might have been in East Greenbush or something.
Northway Mall, maybe?
It wasn't Northway Mall. Oh, anyway, I've been trying to. So if anyone knows about the mall with the golf course in the 80s, let us know about that too. And then eventually I found my way to the Jericho Drive-In. And at that point, the idea that a movie theater could be outside, a big movie screen could be outside, was so crazy and so magical. I didn't believe it when my friends told me about it. You know, it was so magical, and it was surrounded by trees. And I wouldn't have made this reference then, but it's kind of like a Midsummer Night's Dream a little bit, this magical forest wonderland with a movie right there. And the first movie I ever saw here was Bird on a Wire with Goldie Hawn and Mel Gibson. It was my first Goldie Hawn movie.
How old were you? You remember?
Probably like 7 or 8 or young, you know, but I loved my movies. I loved my 80s and early 90s movie stars. And, you know, we'd get a lot of candy and, you know, and it was just fun. And I'd always almost always fall asleep for the second feature. Another movie I saw here was Another 48 Hours, which to this day is one of the worst movies that I ever saw. And when I came home, I cried because I was so upset that I'd wasted time watching this horrible movie. But the second feature that night was Pretty Woman, which I loved, and that I'd already seen at Crossgates. But, you know, I watched it again, and so that I stayed up a little bit because it was one of my favorite movies.
And of course, all of the neighborhood mothers and fathers were not too fond of me and my parenting skills because I let Ben watch almost anything that he wanted, and I couldn't stop him. I just couldn't stop him. When he started to read, I had to go out and get him the Leonard Maltin almanac of movies, and that's what he would read when he was in first grade.
And I later wrote for that almanac.
Right, he did. That's right. So, and I was like, I can't censor him. You know.
If she tried to not let me watch a movie that was for adults, I would become obsessed with it, and that was the only movie that I wanted to see. And I would beg her and beg her and beg her not to be quiet about it until she let me see it. So eventually she just gave up.
And it was a torture. It was a good sales
It was like
technique,
Chinese water torture.
Right.
Yes.
So I had to give in. He made the sale eventually.
And the most important movie I saw here of all of them was Ghost. That I will never forget. And you had seen it the night before with your friends, and you said, oh, it wasn't that good. And then I came to see it, and I was like, what is she talking about? I mean, I was like 7. I was like, this is the greatest movie ever. And I mean, it was such a cool, because I love romantic movies. It was so romantic, and the special effects were so beautiful. And on that big screen outside at night, it was so magical. And I remember my friend and I cried at the end. And his father was like, oh, you wusses. But, you know, I mean, it was so sad. And it's still, people make fun of Ghost, but it's still one of my favorite movies of all time, and I watch it constantly. I just ordered the Blu-ray a few weeks ago to replace my DVD.
And tell us about some of the other video stores, because video stores in Bethlehem were very important to you.
Yes.
He would come off the bus when he was 6 years old, and I'd say, "What did you do in school today?" And he's like, "I don't remember." Take me to the video store. He read in the Leonard Maltin Almanac a certain director. He had watched one of the movies. Now he had to watch all the other movies, and I had to take him because he tortured me otherwise.
I would spend the day at school literally just playing the movies over in my head that I loved, because I was bored and I just wanted to be watching the movies, and I'd seen them enough times that I knew them by heart. Yeah, there were a lot. I mean, the video stores at Albany were my favorite places in the world. I mean, they still are. I dream about them, the video stores at Albany, all the time. And the ones we went to the most, there was American Video, then that closed. We went to Leaders Video, which is now a liquor store, and they had an amazing collection. It was just very densely packed with videos. We went there a lot. Judy and Ben were the owners, and they were really nice to me and supportive of me. Del Mar Court Video, which is now an optometry thing next to where Friendly's used to be. I mean, the more the years pass, I come back and nothing is what it used to be, and it's very disturbing. Video. Well, first there was the Video World on Delaware Avenue towards the Spectrum Theater. We went there, and they had things that you couldn't get in Del Mar. So sometimes I would need to, like if I wanted to see Valley of the Dolls, which I read in one of my books, I'd have to look in the phone book and call around until I found the video store that had it, and then I'd have to beg you to drive me there because you have to go and get it, then you have to return it. So it was lots of commuting.
And you can see why the other mothers did not want their children playing with Ben, because when they came over, that's all they wanted to do was watch those movies like Valley of the Dolls. You even have a Valley of the Dolls
tote bag
now, which I couldn't believe.
I like to advertise my love for imported culture. And I loved horror movies, and I got in a lot of trouble too because the kids would come over, and there's always that kid in the neighborhood. I've learned this because I now know many horror fans from all over the world, and they were all the one kid in the neighborhood whose parents allowed them to watch horror movies, and then the other kids would come to their house and watch them, and then they would get in trouble. I got to be that kid, and you got to be the parent.
But he was the least violent. There's no correlation to me between watching some of those violent things and what a kid does, because you never hurt a fly in your life, ever.
No, I just got out all of my aggression by watching movies.
Well, right.
So where did that lead to?
Yeah, tell us about what's going on now.
So my entire career has been devoted to movies, basically, in one way or another. As I said, I wrote for the Leonard Maltin book. I've over the years written for various websites, often about horror movies. Fangoria, that's right. The Chiller TV website. I got my PhD in cinema and media studies, and I became a teacher, and I taught film classes, and I was showing all my students the movies that I got in trouble for watching as a kid. And they loved me. I mean, they loved my classes because they were always like, I can't believe that we get to watch Scream and write papers about it for homework. And I was like, well, these are important. And it really was funny because, you know, for my childhood, I was always taking flack from other parents and from teachers because I watched all these inappropriate horror movies. And in the 80s and 90s, everyone thought that kids who watched horror movies murdered people. I mean, that was really a thing, that they were deviants or whatever. And then all of that led to kind of my favorite job yet, which is that now I'm a producer on an upcoming documentary for the AMC network called it's called AMC Visionaries, Eli Roth's History of Horror. And if any of you are horror fans out there, you know Eli Roth. He directed Cabin Fever and Hostel and recently Death Wish, and you know, a lot of very popular kind of seminal horror and genre films. And it's been this amazing documentary going over the history of horror movies for, you know, since the very beginning, talking about what horror movies mean, how they're influenced by culture, how they influence culture.
And you're actually in it.
I'm in it, yes. I produced it, and I am in a few episodes talking about giving my analyses of certain favorite movies.
And when will it air?
It airs on October 14th on AMC, and I think if you don't have cable, which I know a lot of people don't, you'll be able to download it either on the AMC website, or I think it'll be on like Amazon and iTunes and Shudder, which is the horror movie app, pretty shortly after it airs. And it's great. I mean, in addition to me being in it, there are like real celebrities like we have Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephen King and Linda Blair, Jordan Peele. So many, and I got to meet a lot of these. Heather Langenkamp, the star of A Nightmare on Elm Street, who's my hero. And I got to meet some of those people on the production, and it was just great. So you'll get to hear them talking. It really, I mean, it was. I've never been so happy to go to work every day of my whole life. And it's a great documentary. I'm really proud of it, and I think people will like it. So yeah, and it's really validating for me to be like, oh, people in Delmar, you said that by watching horror movies was going to hinder me from having a successful life, but actually it was the exact opposite. It has been my calling card. So
but there were people in Delmar who did encourage you. Those people from the video
that's
stores.
Right. Well,
yeah.
And the reason I loved the video stores was because, as people who live here know, Delmar is a very kind of squeaky clean place. I mean, this will be a benefit for people who want to come here. It's
right.
very, very like idyllic, and very nice. And I was kind of a little bit different. So at video stores, they had all these crazy movies. I mean, Leaders Video had all these crazy horror movies and cult movies, John Waters movies, and it was exciting to kind of see alternate viewpoints, another more sordid world where I would belong.
but growing up here was actually turned out to be a very positive experience, and you think of coming back here now to live, right?
Well, I mean, I'd like to, because it's so, it is. I do see it as a really nice place to live now, and having lived in big cities for a long time, it's very appealing, and you could afford a house here, which is very appealing, and you cannot afford one where I live, at least when you're me. And where else do you have a drive-in? The drive-in movie theaters were a huge thing in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, but they've really kind of they're mostly disappeared. Yeah, and they're so great, and it's the greatest way to watch a movie. So it's really awesome that you have gems like that in this. And also, there are some other great places to see movies here. Like, I love going to movies at Proctor's, which is this grand old, it used to be a movie palace, and it's just such a beautiful place. They have this gigantic screen, and they show the best movies. I mean, movies that they never would have showed when I was a kid here. They're showing like an Italian horror movie festival in the coming weeks, and it just blows my mind. That makes me never want to leave, because it's so great.
That'd be okay with your mom.
Right, it would be great. Is right. So, well, I guess.
So what else? I mean, what I think you should ask your viewers, like, what else is nostalgic for them? And
right. What people, this is our last stop on the summer tour, and what in your childhood or your children's childhood has, what do you remember? Video stores, movies, other outdoor summer activities around town. It would be great. Or movies,
I love to hear people talking about it, if they remember seeing a movie and it was really memorable where they saw it. Did anybody have memorable experiences seeing movies at the Jericho?
Right.
I'd love to hear about that.
Right. Please comment below and let us know, because it's interesting to other people as well. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we really thank you for watching all of our great outdoor summer tour, and I want to thank Ryan, our intern. Come here. Ryan's helped with our summer tour all summer long, and Leslie, our producer.
Hello.
And it's been great, and we hope to see you back in September when we'll be talking about wet basements and other interesting things. So thanks for watching. Bye.
you have the ice cream. You can't forget about the ice cream shop
right.
over there.
All right, it is really good ice cream.
And let's see what's playing here tonight. Mama,
Mamma Mia
And Christopher Robin.
Christopher Robin.
I've seen Mamma Mia. It's really good. I loved it. I mean, it's stupid, but it's great.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.